You know, it was kind of a strange journey that got me here. I think it started with my husband buying a van over the internet. Um, and he drove this van home, and it was shocking. It was a 5-ton, jacked up, 4x4 diesel engine van that was so enormous it didn't even fit in our driveway. And he brought this home, and he's like, "Here, we're gonna go camping. We're gonna drive to bothe." He had all these fantasies and dreams about what he and I and our son would do in this van. And I had no intention of going anywhere with him in this van. I was sure that this was his midlife crisis vehicle. But I soon realized it wasn't actually his midlife crisis, it was mine, my reaction to the van. He was stretching himself, he was risking things, he was trying new things, but my life had actually gotten quite small. I was 44, I wasn't interested in really moving out of my comfort zone anymore, and I knew that this was a problem. So I started writing about it. I had written a couple of YA novels, and suddenly I started writing in my own true voice, which, as it turned out, was this very funny voice. I didn't know where it came from, but once I started writing about my husband's van, I couldn't stop. The slippery year really refers to this idea of slippage that I think many of us can identify with, that when you're not paying attention, it's very easy to kind of slip outside of your life. And before you know, 10 years have passed and you've drifted out, and it might be impossible to then drift yourself back in.
Are you saying drifted out of relationships or marriages or?
Yeah, just kind of be living your life as an observer rather than a participant.
So this is pretty much your midlife crisis, or do you relate this to all kinds of different ages?
I think it's a coming of age story. So I think you could be in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 70s and still be coming to this crossing of this particular threshold. It's any time in your life when you feel things have become stale, when you're taking things for granted, and you know that something else might be ahead for you, but you're not sure what, and you're afraid. So it would be very easy then to slip away or to shut down and just stop participating. But that's the moment when you have to be brave. That's the moment when you actually have to step forward into the unknown. How happy are you? Are you happy enough? What is happy enough? That was one of the fundamental questions I set out to ask. You know, I had this very good life. I was in a marriage to a very nice man. I had a child who I loved. We both had jobs. Things were okay. Things were fine. But I wasn't feeling alive. I had, somehow started sleepwalking through my life. I had kind of slipped outside of my life when I wasn't paying attention. And I knew that this slippage could actually get me into trouble if I didn't do something about it. I'm definitely happier now. I'm definitely more alive. I would say more passionate. Doesn't mean I am in that state all the time. That's unrealistic. I slip in and out. But what's different for me is I'm conscious of the slipping now. And I know how to get myself back in.
What would you tell people, what advice would you give for people who also want to have passion in their life?
For me, it was very simple kind of arithmetic. When I was younger, when I was a girl, I think I had much more access to rapture in my life. I drifted in and out of that state, and I think kids do. If their basic needs are taken care of, kids do drift in and out of that state much more. I wanted to get back to that. The way I got back to that really was by paying attention and by realizing that what I chose to focus on was my reality. I could focus on the things that I wished were better or different in my life, or I could focus on the incredible, beautiful, ordinary things that were great in my life. So I guess that would be my suggestion.